There are cases that police officers never forget, not because they were the most violent, but because they made no sense. These are the cases that stay with them long after the reports are filed, long after the scenes are cleared, and long after the world moves on. Cases where something felt wrong. Across the United States, there have been reports, quiet ones, often buried or left undocumented, of investigations that turned into something far beyond crime. Officers trained to trust logic and evidence suddenly found themselves questioning reality itself. One of these cases began on a quiet night, a routine dispatch. A woman called 911, her voice shaking, barely able to speak. She said someone was inside her home. Officers arrived within minutes, expecting a standard break-in, but the moment they stepped inside, something felt off. The air was cold, not just cool, unnaturally cold. The house was silent, yet it didn't feel empty. As they moved through the hallway, one officer stopped suddenly. He heard footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate, as if someone was pacing back and forth. They moved as a unit, weapons ready, clearing each room one by one. But when they reached the top floor, nothing. No intruder, no open windows, no signs of entry, just silence. Then it happened. One of the officers heard a whisper, soft but clear, his name. He turned immediately, heart racing, but no one was there. His partner hadn't heard it, but the fear in his eyes said everything. Later, when they reviewed the body cam footage, they found something none of them could explain. A shadow, moving across the hallway wall, separate from any officer. That case was closed as unfounded, but the officers involved never forgot what they experienced that night. Another case began as a missing person investigation. A young man had disappeared near an abandoned industrial site. Detectives were sent to search the area, expecting to find clues, maybe evidence of foul play. Instead, they found something else. As they entered the building, their radios began to crackle. At first, it sounded like interference, but then, voices. Faint, distant, calling for help. The officers froze. They thought they had found the missing man. "Did you hear that?" one asked. They followed the sound deeper into the structure, step by step, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The voices grew louder, more desperate. Then suddenly, silence. They searched every room, every corner. Nothing. No person, no movement, no explanation. Later, when they reviewed their audio recordings, the voices were still there, clear. But they weren't calling for help anymore. They were whispering something else, something no one could fully understand. There are also cases where the scene itself seems to remember what happened. In one investigation, officers responded to reports of disturbances in a house where a violent crime had taken place years earlier. The new residents complained of objects moving, doors opening on their own, and the constant feeling of being watched. At first, officers dismissed it, stress, imagination, until they experienced it themselves. While documenting the scene, a loud bang echoed from the upstairs bedroom. The officers rushed in and found a chair overturned in the center of the room. No one had touched it. Moments later, one officer felt something brush against his shoulder. He turned instantly. Nothing. But the feeling remained. Cold. Unmistakable. Perhaps the most disturbing cases are the ones that follow the officer's home. Some report hearing footsteps in their own houses after a case. Others see shadows in mirrors, reflections that don't match reality. One detective, after investigating a particularly violent crime, began waking up at exactly 3:17 every night. At first, it seemed like coincidence, until he started hearing something. A faint sound coming from the hallway. Footsteps. A faint sound coming from the hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Each night it got closer, until one night it stopped right outside his bedroom door. He never opened it, but he never slept the same again. These cases don't make headlines. They don't appear in official reports, because they don't fit the system. Police are trained to deal with facts, evidence, logic. But what happens when none of those apply? When the case itself breaks the rules? Some officers try to forget, others try to explain it away. But a few know exactly what they experienced, and they carry it with them. Over time, patterns begin to emerge. Locations tied to violent crimes often hold something lingering, something that refuses to leave. Officers report cold spots, sudden equipment failures, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched. In one case, a detective reviewing footage noticed something chilling. A figure standing behind him, watching. It wasn't there in real life, but it was there on the recording. So what are these officers experiencing? Is it psychological stress? The weight of the job? Or is it something else entirely? Something we don't fully understand. Something that exists just beyond what we can explain. The truth is, not every case ends when it's closed. Some stay open. Not in files, but in the minds of those who experienced them. So the next time you see police lights flashing in the distance, remember, not every call is just a crime. Some are something more, something darker, something that doesn't follow rules. And if you were there, standing in that hallway, hearing your name whispered from the darkness, would you keep searching? Or would you walk away?